Very, very interesting team. This team is going to go up and down with the health of Joe Burrow.
Yes. Well,
it's being a Bengals fan has been very difficult over the past few seasons. Like, Joe Burrow has not been able to stay healthy.
No, he hasn't. If you could go back, I've got a question for you. If you could go back, knowing what we know now, would you take Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert?
Yeah.
Knowing their careers and how many games both players have missed. I mean, Herbert's missed hardly any other than the end of last year.
I have faith that Joe Burrow will stay healthy. Will get healthy and stay healthy.
Okay.
They set him up for the biggest failure.
Yeah.
With the offensive line the first two seasons. And then they finally made some corrections, and then a fluke friggin' thumb injury happens.
Yeah.
You know? As long as they can keep him upright and they're not asking him to run the football, he's probably one of the best decision-making quarterbacks in the entire league.
Yeah. That's fair.
If not the best.
There's honestly no wrong answer in my opinion.
I think they're safe with Joe Burrow there, and it's just going to come down to his health. If he can stay healthy, the Bengals, sky's the limit for the Bengals. That's they could be an 11-win team, 12-win team, or they could be a 7-win team if he gets injured in the first couple games.
But they figured it last season. Like, even despite the Burrow injury, Jake Browning, he played pretty well. Like, they still managed to keep it going.
They did. That first game when Browning came in and everyone was like, "Oh, we're screwed. We're so screwed." And the kid just lit it up. Yeah, he just lit it up. It was great to watch.
Game, live together at the same time. That was so fun to talk about. It was like, holy shit, Jake Browning's lighting it up.
Lighting it up. Yeah, that was incredible. The team definitely got better. The Bengals definitely got better. The receiving core, the younger guys, a little bit more experience. They got to play a little bit. The tight ends, well, whatever. Mike Gesicki coming in. He's a key addition. Neither do I. I think they've done this now 3 or 4 years where they've had a veteran join with rookies that have come in.
Yeah.
And I honestly think at this point they just do it for mentorship purpose.
Yeah.
But I can't see another reason. Like, Irv Smith last year was just the weirdest pickup.
I had high hopes for Irv Smith. They did draft in the NFL draft Eric OHL, and there's
he's incredible.
There's a lot of
receiving.
He gets a lot of love in dark places, dark corners of the internet. So,
however, first year for a tight end, very difficult. There's so many assignments that you have to understand on it as an NFL tight end.
Yeah.
So much more than when you're in college.
Yeah.
So much more than when you're in college. It's like quadruple the workload.
Right.
So
it's interesting. So they added Mike Gesicki from New England. They retained Drew Sample and Tanner Hudson. We liked Tanner Hudson for a little bit of last season.
Love Tanner Hudson.
But he kept dropping passes in really crucial moments. So I think the Bengals sort of fell out of love with him.
We're gonna see how it goes this season. I'm interested to see how the training camp goes and how preseason goes.
Yeah.
If Tanner Hudson, I think, has a good preseason, then they're not going to rush Eric OHL in.
Yep.
And Hudson will get a lot of those pass catching. He'll get the two tight end sets.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was great
to pass catching
last season.
Yeah.
He had a line usually around 20.5 all season long, and only 4 times did he not go over that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. He's back half the year.
Yeah, he was good.
And practice squad playing with Jake Browning, right? That was a relationship that they had developed.
Right.
So it was kind of nice to watch that, transfer.
Yep.
I'm really interested to see what happens with the tight end group with the Bengals. Joe Burrow, though, he's a slinger. He's going for the wide receivers more than he is anything else. Yep. And Jamar Chase, it's inevitable. If Joe Burrow is healthy, Jamar Chase might get 2,000 friggin' yards this year,
I've got really high hopes for Jamar Chase this year. In fantasy, he's my number 1 receiver. But he was not good for us last year.
No, he wasn't.
He was going under his lines. Now, it's only because his lines were so freaking high.
Well, same with T. Same with
T. T was also shocking. If you exclusively look for overs to bet, both of these receivers were really, really bad.
The only one that kept hitting out of the park for me and winning me every single week was Joe Mixon.
Yes.
His receiving.
Yep.
His receiving.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so Jamar had his lines were sitting around 7.5 receptions last season, even down to 5.5 once it was Jake Browning. And he only, from week 9 onwards, he only went over his prop line one time in week 13. Other than that, he was so shocking to bet on. So love him for fantasy. Hate betting on him.
Yeah, I won't. I won't. My pick actually exists with the development of at the running back position, the Bengals brought in Zach Moss.
Yes, let's talk about this.
Who everybody thinks that Zach Moss is going to be the RB1 for this team.
Yep.
He's a very versatile player. They're going to give him a lot of opportunity.
Yep.
By the end of the season, this is my take. By the end of the season, the better running back will prevail. And the better running back is Chase Brown.
Yeah.
So
I know you love Chase Brown.
Super high on Chase Brown. There's not too many. I mean, I go all in like on quite a bit of players. I'm a really ballsy fantasy player, but Chase Brown, there is something about the way that he plays that is such Bengals football, and it matches so well with Joe Burrow. And we didn't get to see a ton of that. We didn't get to see a ton of it. It was mostly with Jake Browning.
Yeah.
But just the way that he moves in and out of the pocket and like getting loose for Joe Burrow on those quick dumps. Like that. Joe Mixon was a great receiving option when Joe Burrow was on the field. I think Chase Brown's going to be a next level receiving option for when Joe Burrow's on the field.
I just worry that he had that 175-yard reception in that game last season. I can't even remember which one it was. That is just like played on highlight reels when it's just all people ever talk about when they reference Chase Brown. But it's just that one instance of that happening. I know there was like a couple of others and he was good in the receiving game.
Watched a lot. I watched every game, right? So
yeah, but he just kind of reminds me of he's like a glorified CJ Process. Do you remember CJ Process?
Oh my God. Don't even go there. CJ Process is actually a very good running back.
Seahawks legend. He was a great pass catching back.
He was a great
passer. He never amounted it to anything. So that's where I
can't see this happening that way. I like Chase Brown for the development reasons, but I think by the end of the year, I think they're going to have a hard time taking him off the field.
Yeah.
And Zach Moss is not one of those running backs where if somebody's outplaying Zach Moss, they're not like, he doesn't have the name. He doesn't have the name and the clout to warrant staying on the field if somebody's playing better than him.
I don't know, man. I don't know. He was with Jonathan Taylor last season, and holy shit, Zach Moss, the
JT
first
wasn't
8
healthy
weeks of the season, he was insane. Now he wasn't healthy, but they did just give him that huge contract as well. So, I mean, Zach Moss was good. He was playing like a top 10 running.
Why isn't Zach Moss still with the Colts, and why is Jonathan Taylor there on a new contract?
Draft capital, investment, various, reasons. Zach Moss is not a franchise running back.
No, he's not. And neither is Chase Brown. But between the two of them, they're going to have a great stable.
Yep.
For when Cincinnati's trying to run up the score, because I don't see them this year. I do not see the Bengals spending a lot of time running the ball this year.
Okay.
I think we're probably going to see game scripts where it's over 50% passing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I see games at like Zach Moss with 11 rushes, with Chase Brown with 9 rushes, and Chase Brown with 3 completions, 4 completions, Zach Moss with 2.
Yeah, okay.
And that's kind of where I feel like that's probably going to average. And I like Chase Brown, his receiving total. It's got to be somewhere around 2 something, like 200, maybe 190, 200. I'll take it all day long.
Yep. Bengals have a very, very favorable schedule to start the season as well. They open with New England. You could pencil that in for a win. Then week 2, they play KC. This is going to be in prime time. This is going to be a great matchup.
That'll be a great game.
Then they play Washington. Should be fairly easy. They play Carolina. They do have to play Baltimore, of course, but then they play the Giants. They also have Vegas in there. They've got the Chargers in there. This is This is
A
looking
great schedule for the Bengals. The
great
opening
schedule.
start of the season. Yeah.
They did
It's
finish
great. We got to play the
14
Cowboys.
last season, so obviously, I mean, the division was just fucking so competitive. So
Yeah, also
it's like
losing
all
Burrow
four
didn't
teams should
help.
have gone to the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of feels that way. It's been that way for a few years now,
Yeah,
where
and it
that
has.
division has been the cream
Yeah,
of the crop. But
yeah.
I like the Bengals here. I like them to push Baltimore for the top of the division.
Okay.
Um, I think it's
Well,
going to be a winning record. I'll
yeah.
give him a winning record. I think even regardless, if Joe goes out, Browning will still get a few wins. If Joe can make it the first 4 or 5 games without any injuries, then I think we'll end up with a winning record.
Yeah,
But
that's it. Let's talk about
yeah,
these receivers. So we talked
mhm.
about Jamar Chase. They franchise tag T. Higgins. They're
Yeah, it
still
just
currently
seems
looking
ugly. It
to
seems a little
trade
ugly for
him.
me.
I
Yeah,
actually think he might get traded before the season starts.
I do too. They have a lot of faith in the younger receivers that they have.
Yeah. They lost
You
Tyler
know,
Boyd. They've sent him away.
yep.
He drafted Jermaine Burton, who this is a very pro Jermaine Burton podcast, I imagine. I love
Very
Jermaine
pro
Burton.
Jermaine Burton. Yeah, very pro Jermaine
Like
Burton.
his off-field issue.
Gonna be a great season for him as well.
Yeah,
Stepping right into that Tyler Boyd role.
yeah.
Um, yeah, the middle
I
of the
reckon
field is all his.
if they moved on from T. Higgins, he'll just come out flying.
Yep,
They have Charlie Jones and Andre Yoshivis. I know they love both of those guys as
they
well.
do.
So
They really do.
this
And
is a
Yoshi's
really
great.
and Trenton Irwin. I'm not sure what he's doing so high up this depth chart, but our lads generally know. So this is a really good receiving room.
It is. And Chuck Jones, like, don't sleep on him.
Yeah,
You know, he didn't have a lot of opportunities, but he's a field stretcher. And
yeah,
if you can if they move on from T, they move on from T and they move Burton to the outside, and then you have somebody with the speed that can go up the middle. And that
right.
was one thing that Tyler Boyd did so well
Yeah,
for the Bengals. He
yeah,
was great. Like he was great in the trenches. Like he was good. He was good around the line of scrimmage to the 10-yard line, but it was where he really shined or Sean. He
shined.
would he shine Sean.
Yeah, shown.
He would shown he
Sean.
would
No, I don't know.
Sean. Yes, Sean. Yes, I don't.
Yeah,
He would fly up the middle of the field. It'd be seam routes, right? Like
yep,
he had go routes and seam routes in place, fades, and he would burn his backer.
yep,
He'd burn the backer, and then the safeties would be inching towards Jamar Chase and towards T. Higgins, and it leaves a lot of room. Leaves a lot of room. And the amount of times that T. Higgins caught balls for 20 yards plus, it's crazy, you know?
yep, yep.
I could see Charlie Jones slipping into that.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I love this receiver room. I think that they're all extremely talented. Not
It's
to
a very
mention
talented team.
offensive line, like you mentioned, has really improved in the last couple of seasons. So they added Alex Cappa last season in the offseason. They brought him over from the Bucks. They have Orlando Brown that they brought over from KC as well. That's interesting.
Great pull.
too.
Great pull.
I don't know a lot about Trent Brown from New England
So
and Cordell
I
Volson.
I don't know a ton about
Yeah.
him. I just know that the Bengals Nation was very happy when we picked him up. So
Yeah, cool. All right, great.
I haven't watched a lot of film on him. So
Yeah, so I think that that's a much improved offensive line. I think that Gesicki, like you said, there's going to be a lot of blocking tight ends in this. Really love the addition of Eric OHL as well. So defensively, how are you feeling about the defense? Because they were sort of a bit hit and miss last season.
yeah, they were, but this is a unit. Like
Yeah.
this is it's a unit. This is a well-oiled unit now at this point. A lot of players have been retained. Not a ton of movement. I don't know. There's still a question mark back there. I think at the safety position, they lost.
Um,
Can you tell me who they lost?
yeah, from a betting perspective, quarterbacks were really throwing on them a lot. The only quarterbacks who struggled was who was the Browns quarterback week 18? It wasn't Joe Flacco. It was
it wasn't DTR? Yeah, it was the DTR.
I imagine. Mahomes had a line of 270 in week 17. He didn't go over that, but that's a really high line. other than that, all quarterbacks were going over their passing yards for them. Running backs were able to rush on them. The corner one for the Bengals was okay. Corner two was bad, and it looked like a lot of tight ends were getting success as well. So if we have a look at a couple of the names on the defensive side of it, so their
So who'd they lose?
so they've got they have DJ Turner
Yes.
and Cam Taylor Britt. We know they lost Jesse Bates a couple of years ago.
That was 2 years. Yeah, that was
Yes.
that was the big hit last year. That was the really big hit last year.
Yeah, I think so. I actually am of the view that they should have kept Jesse Bates.
100%. They should have paid him.
Yeah,
But this, like I said, I feel good about Turner. I really
yeah.
do. And Britt's, there's nothing wrong with Britt. There's a lot
Taylor
of
Britt.
talk, a lot of
Yeah.
rumors. Yeah. There's a lot of rumors about the push for Eli Apple to come back home.
I like Eli.
I actually don't mind it,
Eli
for the
Apple,
fit.
Dax Hill. Like
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't
into
mind it. I don't mind it. So I do think that the team will get that last safety position sorted out.
I must be seeing shit. At free safety here, they've got Von Bell listed.
No, that doesn't make sense.
He's listed number one on the depth chart.
So it depends on their
up to
scheme
date.
it depends on their scheme, I think, right? Because if you have one high safety, then maybe that's the additional backer for the
Interesting.
one high safety look. I don't know.
Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Logan Wilson was a good linebacker, middle linebacker last season.
Logan Wilson's a stud.
Yeah. Jermaine Pratt as well had a good season.
Also a stud.
They're okay. Sheldon Rankins they've brought over as well. Trey Hendrickson on the D line. BJ Hill as well from the Giants come over, and Sam Hubbard.
Huge, big boy. Hubbard's a stud.
A couple of names they drafted. Chris Jenkins, they drafted, I think, in the second round with the 24th picks, or no, that's not correct. But Chris Jenkins had a good college season. Josh Newton as well. Oh, they drafted Amarius Mims as well at right tackle. That's going to be interesting.
And they've got Hendrickson still there too, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah, what do you think of Amarius Mims? Because he was a big guy that they drafted for the right tackle line. Like a lot of people,
I don't know anything.
Huge. He's the biggest man you'll ever see. So
that's awesome.
He was the Bengals' their first pick of the draft in the first.
Yes, yeah. I knew they drafted him. I just haven't watched any film.
Yeah,
but
polarizing.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. And another big guy to protect Joe, right?
Yep. Yeah, he'll be great. So I imagine maybe that's why they brought in Trent Brown from New England. I know we've already talked about the offensive, but he'll probably learn behind him for a little bit. So yeah, good looking team.
Great looking team.
It's almost like they've got a lot of really good names. Now we just need to see them all play well together at the same time.
Yeah,
is my view. Because they were
they got to play together at the same time. The injuries have been just awful.
Yes, that's true.
It's been a couple seasons of just a shit show for Cincinnati, and they just can't get it together. But when the team is all locked in together, like they had a couple games last year where a lot of the players were there, and it was electric.
Yeah,
but it's tough to get a rhythm when you're halfway through the season and you got guys coming in and out. Like it's very tough to get into a rhythm. You got to stay healthy. That's one of the big things in the NFL. It's like you want success. You got to be lucky and have health on your side.
Yeah.
So it's really going to come down to the health of this team. If the team can stay healthy, the sky's the limit. Like if they can stay healthy, they're a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
But if they can't, it could go the exact opposite. Like it could crumble real quick. So I don't think the depth is there to sustain the type of injuries that they've been having.
Right. And that's really what it's going to come down to. So over under win total is 10.5.
That's what I was saying. It's like they strike me like an 11-12 win team.
Yes.
I would take it, but
it's a tough division.
Me too. It's not so much the division. It's just like it's honestly Joe Burrow. Like I know that Joe will get this figured out over his career. Do I know that it's this year that he gets it all figured out? You know, that the injuries stay away from him. They're so fresh too. I want to say over. You know, my gut says over.
Yeah.
That the Bengals are going to have a great year.
Yep.
and they're gonna smash that over by a couple wins.
Yep.
But I still don't think I can take it.
Yeah, I think I probably could. Their toughest matchups, in my view, I mean, again, tough division. KC will be like, they always play each other hard.
Yo, they do.
They play Philly. Philly's going to be a bit of a wild card. They could either be very good still, or they could be very bad. They play Dallas as well. Be interesting to see how they turn out. They do play.
That's going to be a wild game.
Yeah, they played Denver as well later in the season. I wonder how Denver's going to track too. So a couple of very winnable games, but yeah, just being in the same division as Cleveland and Baltimore and the Steelers, it just makes it so much tougher.
It really does. I'm trying to go look to see what Chase Brown's line.
Yeah, you're having a look at a couple of different lines. There's a few that I wouldn't mind. Joe Burrow. I wonder what his passing line is, because I think that the sharp bet would be taking the under, because you need to factor in that he probably will be injured at some point.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. But yeah. By the way, Chase Brown is 276 on the receiving yards. That's
a lot.
It's a lot. I think they're seeing what I see too. They 629 on the rushing yards.
Right.
And that's not a lot of rushing yards.
That's not a lot. Interesting. Okay.
I think I take him over 629 on the rushing yards.
Interesting. What is Jermaine Burton's line?
Burton's? I just had saw it.
Because I'm trying to think, like, I wonder if it would be good to get the over now before they trade T. Hig. There's also a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, Higgins could get traded in the first half of the season.
They've got him at 556.
Yes, because he's also a burner. You got to remember, like, there's times when he was at Alabama playing with Jalen Milroe where he's just taking the top off the defense, and now he's going from Jalen Milroe to
Joe Burrow.
Like, I'm into it. I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm into it. That's actually a decent line.
Yeah.
I'll just because it's my team, I'll take the two. I'll take over 627, whatever that was, for Chase Brown on the over rushing, and then I'll take the over 556 for the Jermaine Burton receiving. Yeah, Jermaine Burton's a starter from day one.
Yep, that's how I feel.
Tyler Boyd finished with over 500 every single year he was there.
Yep.
He's taking that spot.
Jamar Chase will probably miss a couple of games as well. He usually does. So, yeah, like I said, love this team. Very bullish on them. Jamar Chase, my number one fantasy receiver. Love Joe Burrow as well. So. I got a